PlayStation will continue to cut costs following layoffs, Sony confirms. This is the best strategy that they can actually take, cutting costs. Layoffs, worst strategy that they could ever take. I am one that is not about layoffs simply because I know, and I think anybody will know from a sensible perspective, that with good management, you can largely avoid layoffs as much as you possibly can. Zarmina Khan writes this article. Yahoo basically put it from PlayStation Lifestyle. And it says that PlayStation will continue to cut costs following layoffs, Sony confirms. Sony has confirmed that PlayStation will continue its cost-cutting exercise following mass layoffs in 2024. They could have avoided that if they had made a lot of small games, if they had not spent their money trying to block games from going to Xbox, games that are basically not just failing, but flailing left and right, like Shift Up's Stellar Blade, where its developers are now expecting that Steam is going to come in and subsidize the nonsense that they've done in terms of signing an exclusivity deal. Maybe you might not be nonsense or whatever anybody wants to call it. In a recent earnings call, CFO Hiroki Totoki said that the group is reforming the PlayStation business and cutting costs in various areas as part of its process. Interesting. They're going through the Kaizen improvement, says Sony. Isn't that interesting that Kaizen, I don't know if many of you know, many of you work in production, you know what Kaizen is. Kaizen is basically a waste mitigation factor in the way you actually develop or produce, products or whatever it is that you're trying to come up with. It's used in Chick-fil-A. If you've ever been to a Chick-fil-A and you placed an order and you wonder how you get that chicken sandwich and those fries and all that as fast as you possibly can, they use the Kaizen structure inside of Chick-fil-A. In the kitchens, they use the terminology. They use the very similar approach. That's why their production is if your Chick-fil-A is vibing anyways, very, very productive. PlayStation now wants to adopt it, or maybe they're using it to improve the way they make games. I've kind of leaned somewhere towards what I suspected anyways, that I thought the Western development seemed to me a little bit too superfluous in its cost. I thought it was wasteful. Now, again, I'm a noob. I'm also here trying to develop a video game, right? And I could also tell you that I got a bunch of gaping holes in my own techniques and the way that I actually try to do things. So I suck. But you would think, though, that, I suck because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm stumbling across a lot of different things because I'm walking in the blind. But this is PlayStation, who's been doing this for many, many years. I wouldn't expect that they would, in a sense, struggle like this. But it's good that they're going through these measures because I think this is definitely going to help them in their brand. During a Q&A session with stakeholders, Totoki said that Sony is not only changing PlayStation's business structure, it's also reevaluating its approach to game development and introducing a portfolio concept. Interesting. However, he didn't elaborate what that means in the context of PlayStation Studios' development pipeline. They need to focus on making games. That's all it is. PlayStation has basically bought into all this kind of activism nonsense. And that's just the reality. Anybody who wants to say otherwise just needs to understand that as a game development company, your best bet is to make games. For those who are focused on games, they've yielded a lot of the rewards in making games. Now, if their games suck, there's no helping them. But PlayStation, obviously, if their games are good, they sell. Their games suck, they don't. And it's just the reality, right? So like I said in his earlier, blah, 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 portfolio margins. So he said this. He said earlier in the year that PlayStation's profit margins need to be improved. And in 2024 alone, the company shut down 3 studios, including Concord developer, Firewalk, and long-running London studio. PlayStation laid off over 1,000 employees this year. Interesting. So this portfolio, strategy, I don't know all what it entails. I don't know exactly what direction they're going to go, but it appears to me that they really need to realize that Xbox done clowned them in the portfolio aspect. Now, granted, call it a fair and unfair, I would say leapfrogging, but that leapfrogging only simply happened because they went at it a bit more than they could chew. They tried to make Xbox irrelevant, and that just was not going to work. So what's happened now is in content capability, in content delivery. Remember when I was telling you all this? Remember when I made those videos and I said that, right now that PlayStation can never match Xbox's content delivery? Do you remember the resistance I got for those guys? Do you all remember the dragging? Well, attempted dragging, because again, a lot of these folk don't like truth. They would never, ever concede that the truth is that PlayStation has been clowned in this whole gesture. But do you all remember that? And they said all kinds of things about what I was saying. They were like, well, which Xbox game has won the Game Awards? My dude, Did you see Totoki say a single thing about the freaking Game Awards? Did you see the chief financial officer ever say we want more award-winning games? Instead, what is he pointing towards? A portfolio structure. What is inside of a portfolio for a video game publisher and developer? It's games. And for the Xbox side, I think they are just fine. Thanks to PlayStation, nonetheless. I'm just saying, who pretty much motivated them and said to them, you guys are no longer going to be in this market. And they looked and said, who are you talking to? And Phil brought a big fat bag and told Bethesda, hey, come for the ride. And Bethesda was like, heck yeah, sir. And then they talked and then they said, who are you talking to? And they brought another bag and said to Activision, get lost. Now give us the keys to your company while you're leaving. And they did the same thing. And now PlayStation is over there in a little corner crying that our pillars are dated and behind the competition. The reason your pillars are dated and behind the competition, just like you basically have said, is simply because you refused to pretty much understand the market and you enjoyed some kind of perceived dominance that you were pretty much able to control the media for, because the media is access media. They're afraid of you, that you're not going to give them game codes. And so somehow they traded their capabilities to pretty much journalism and decided to give you a lot of free passes. And then you end up here and your documents pretty much are leaked. And look at what they're saying there inside of the company, while outside they're singing and blowing flowers all over the place for you. 2024 has been the most fun year of me making YouTube videos. It really has, because it's weird that my suspicions, basically, I'm just looking going, it's unreal. It's almost anticlimactic at this point, because it's like, I can't believe I was actually on point. What? I don't have any knowledge or any insider information. How is this possible? Well, apparently, if you were not fanboying and you were paying attention, then you could see this coming. Let's keep waiting. I can't say how much this is going to get really tumultuous because, again, predict the future. But, man, from what we're seeing right now, PlayStation needs to get on the move, man. That portfolio, they got to go dig it up from somewhere. I got to go tend to the kids. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace out.